Alright guys, so this will be part 2, I guess. I'm not labeling them as part 2, but this is part 2 of 3. The 3 engines I just bought. The first one, the last video, was a 8 horsepower Briggs. Got it running good enough for right now, just to see if it's worth buying parts for. It appeared to be. This one, no guarantees if it's going to be running on video. This one's just going to be more of a future project, because I probably won't have time to work on it right now. But I'm just kind of hitting on it a little bit, and it's got an unusual problem, and I'm kind of anxious to see what's wrong with it. That's the only reason I'm fooling with it. This one was given to me in pieces. It's got the carburetor. It's got a good tank. It's clean. Just need a cap for it. I figure it probably needs a new diaphragm, which is no problem at all. I got a bunch of them right now. Clean that up with the file. Clean it up. This has been sitting outside for a while, as you can tell. But anyway, this turns over, and I put a plug in it. It did have spark, so nothing to worry about there. But now on to the interesting part about this one. The guy told me it had a stuck valve. And he said before he had to take a hammer and hit the valve to get it to go down. Well, now we got something else interesting going on. Let me get these head bolts out. Okay, got all the head bolts and ladybugs removed. Not a whole lot of carbon buildup. Need a new head gasket. Okay, so here's the interesting part. He said it had a stuck valve. Well, piston's moving, valves ain't. So, before we tear it apart, I got a couple theories. Broken camshaft, very possible. If the valve was up and he hit the wrong one, thinking that was a stuck valve, he could have broke a camshaft or a camshaft bearing. But I don't hear nothing knocking or anything. A little bit of noise is that right there rubbing. I was saying, well, maybe he took the camshaft out of it for something he was working on. But it's got oil in it, so I don't know why it would have oil in it if he took it apart. And it does not appear to be former gasketed or silicone or anything. So, not real sure what's going on here. Just toward the gasket. Yeah. First thing I notice, I can't see the valve tappet over here on this side. Turn it over. So, we're going to have to dig a little deeper in it. Get right back to you when we get ready to pull the sump off. Alright guys, here we go. Moment of truth. Ha! No camshaft. Newer 5 horsemen's have a removable gear like your bigger engine do. Well, we might actually be able to salvage it. A lot of metal in the oil there. I'll have to check with an older type camshaft and see if the timing's the same on it. Not sure if it is or not. Alright, so I stuck an old camshaft out of an engine from the 70s or 80s in here. And get the timing marks lined up. And guess what? Timing's right. Exhaust valve, piston coming up. Piston up, intake valve. Compression. So now, we'll take the camshaft back out, clean up all the sludge, and clean up the gasket here. Put a new gasket on it, put it back together. We're going to see what happens. I'm going to skip a few things on camera here. I'll just re-show what all I'd had to do here. It was missing this front tappet here. So I just happened to have an old one. This is out of an engine, another older engine. Same engine this camshaft came out of. So I'm going to put that in there. Line up your timing mark here. I'm going to put some oil on everything here so it ain't going to start dry. Then once I get the sump back on here, and after I clean all this out, I'm going to have to check the valve clearance here. May need to adjust the valve clearance, and if I do, I'll probably just go ahead and lap the valve real quick. May not need it, but can't do no harm while it's apart. Alright, so I got to clean up the best I could, and you're not going to get every little spot of dirt, and something like this will need to be flushed anyway, because you never know any more dirt, or there might be some dirt on the rings or something in the cylinder. And if I was going to rebuild it, which I might end up doing if it smokes, I'd take it completely apart. I like to pressure wash them myself. That's the best way to get everything out. And so like I said, I got new gaskets for it. I'm going to put a little bit of Lucas or oil on all the parts that come in contact with everything, and put a little bit up here so it'll run down on the rod bearing. Get some all over here in the oil seal. Now I'm going to put the sump back on, and we'll get back to you after I get the valves adjusted, and we're going to see what it's going to do. And okay, I just got the sump put back on, and one more thing I forgot to mention, it's got a broken head bolt. So I'm hoping I can get a hold of it with the vice grips real good, and it'll come out. If not, I'll have to put a nut on there and weld to it and do all that to get it out. We'll hope for the best. Now if you see that, that's my new oil can. Picked up there a couple months ago. And it's in there good. Yeah, let me work with it, guys, and we'll get back to you. Alright, so after fighting with my welder, finally got it out. It was tight all the way too. I was afraid it was going to break off again, but it finally came out. And the threads don't look the best, you can see, compared to those. So I'm going to run a tap through it just to clean them up a little bit. And it's a 5/16 18 thread. So I'm going to do that off camera here and get ready to clean that up, and we'll work on the valves. Probably won't show it on camera, but I'm going to adjust the valves and go from there. Alright, so I just put the gas tank and carburetor on there without doing anything to the carburetor, so we're going to see if it's going to need anything. And I did borrow a gas cap off a 3.5 horsepower I had. This is the new type cap. I don't like them very well, and this engine also has the new style recoil. Got the things that go out like that. I don't like them either very well. They're good when they're working, but I like the old style better. But the only thing that hasn't changed on these 5 horsepowers is the block itself. Well, they quit making them now, but I'm talking about, you know, the last few that they made, and the carburetor change. They used to have the pull-out choke, which will bolt onto this. And I stuck a hot dog type muffler in it. I like these. They're loud, but I like them. And I ain't got no gas in it, but I did put oil in it. And a new spark plug, CJ8 equivalent. It's the NGK brand. And so I'm just going to spray a little carburetor cleaner in it and do a test crank, see what it's going to do, then put some gas in it. And yeah, acts like it wants to run, so we'll put some gas in it and see what it's going to do. Alright, so I got a little gas in the tank, and I poured a little bit in the carburetor. Well, I was trying to adjust the carburetor a little bit off camera, and I was running about mid-throttle, and it locked up on me. It made a noise kind of like how, I can't tell if it threw a rod or the governor was acting funny when I was putting it together. So I don't know if something got in the bind and jammed up or what, but it was smoking quite a bit, so it's going to have to be rebuilt anyway. So I just hope there's no major damage because the cylinder was in good shape. So I'm going to let it cool down, and we're going to pop the oil sump back off and see what's going on. Well, guys, it didn't throw a rod, you can see, but the governor flew apart. It must have just got something in a bind there. When I put it together, I was having problems with that lining up, and then this morning when I was putting it back together, I was trying to get that governor arm, it kept jumping, and I pushed it down there and something popped, and I guess that's when it went, and something just got in the bind there and jammed it up. But I thought sure it threw a rod, but it just didn't sound quite like it. Something just locked it up. If there's another couple more pieces of metal out of it, out of the weights on it. So yeah, but yeah, I guess the engine's still rebuildable. It needs rings in it, and I probably will put a new rod in it anyway when I get it apart, because these 5 horsepower are bad about throwing rods. But I just wanted to just share this with you, and just you know, I mean, I got $10 invested in this engine plus the muffler, which I already had, and a new spark plug. So I'm not complaining. I already had the camshaft, so I didn't have to buy it. But, no complaints, for sure. But the block itself is worth more than $10 to me. They're getting harder to find. So, but yeah, this motor we got potential, and you'll be seeing it again. I might build this up, do some modifications for a mini bike, do some performance modifications to it. Might be a good candidate for that. So, well, guys, if you got any questions or comments about my little 5 horsepower, feel free to leave me a comment below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the 11 horsepower.